Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Late Night IMBA Discussions, where we're going to talk about strategies, all that kind of cool stuff. Particularly, we're going to look at one type of strategy and how you can perhaps use it in your own style of play. Might not be how you want to do it, but it's definitely worth a look because it's insanely fun to play, and I can definitely attest to that. I'm not sure if either of these guys can, but it's still very fun. I'm sure Wigan can. You can, can't you?
Sure.
Style,
I think I could
yeah.
talk a bit.
Yeah. Alright, so it's been a while since we've done the last show. I think it's been a combination of I've been a little bit busy and yeah, it's just been hard to get a proper time for it. Of course, crazy things have happened. We've had everyone's favourite song become popular, Gangnam Style, which has just gone insane. Even my boss was listening to that song at work yesterday. I was like, how the fuck does this even happen? And I finished book one of Game of Thrones, so that was pretty cool.
You're only like 2 decades behind.
Yeah, not too far behind. It's not too much of an issue, but yeah. So some interesting things have gone down. We've had tournaments all over the place. I think every weekend has been packed with tournaments. Yeah, so it's been pretty fun times recently. We haven't, and as I said, we haven't really done too much. What I'm going to do is just get rid of that music, and yeah, so we'll have to see what goes on. Obviously, they haven't. I don't know. Have there been too many shifts in the metagame, guys, that you can think of?
No, not really for Terran. Everyone's been waiting for Terrans to like make up new builds and stuff to deal with the new like 6 queen styles, and they've just been kind of doing the same thing they've been doing. You see a lot more like really quick thirds, but I mean there were a lot of people doing that before.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Just as like Marine King had been doing that months before that patch, just as a way of playing greedy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It hasn't really shifted too much. You just see the same lots. Well, maybe a little bit more bio play now, but that's about it.
Fair enough. All right. And of course,
There is one thing. Sorry, there is one thing.
Yeah.
Late game, Raven BC on certain maps. You see now that you just really never saw before.
I think
That would be the big thing.
That if anyone wants to catch a really good Terran versus Zerg game, jump onto the ACL Pro YouTube channel, which is the Australian Cyber League Pro channel. You can jump on there, you watch all the games, obviously. This is from WCS Australia and WCS Oceania, where we had some of the New Zealand guys playing. Watch the game between Moonglade and Night Light, which is on Entomb Valley. I think it's game number 2. Pretty insane TVZ. It wasn't that suddenly there was SCV rushes or anything like that, but just the pure scale and grandness of the game was insane. I'm sure people saw Artosis and Tasteless, who were down here in Australia, tweeting about it, how just crazy the game was. Let's just say, I'm pretty sure every single type of Terran unit was used in the game, including the big ones. So yeah, make sure you have a look at that if you can. But today we're going to look at Mech Terran. So if you're a Terran player, whether you be down in the lower leagues or up in the upper leagues, hopefully you can find out something interesting about this type of play. I've been playing it a little bit on the C server after following in the footsteps of my good buddy Ruined, who has been schooling me in a bit of how to use mech. And what we're going to do is we're going to watch one of his replays first up here against a Protoss. So that's mech versus Protoss. But of course, before we get into that, we've got our 2 cohorts here. Number 1, we've got Omerta. How are you doing?
Doing very well, man.
Yeah.
Glad to be back on the show. It's been a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I have to get on a show because Wigan's been on every single other fucking show on the planet. So
Oh yeah.
he's been just spreading him for everyone. Yeah, so if you still
Trying to get paid to do this or something, man. I can't. I gotta feed myself.
have you Omerta, have you been playing SC too much, or is it still League of Legends?
I've been on vacation for like the last week. I just got back yesterday, and played a lot of League of Legends today for some reason. I don't know why I do it to myself, but I'm excited to play some late night StarCraft tonight.
Oh yeah. Alright, and our other comrade over there who, again, I have been meaning to fix up Skype so we can do 3 people on the video and have an overlay and that sort of thing, but unfortunately there's been a bit of delay with that. Our other cohort there is Wigan. How are you doing, sir? Apart from being on every single show.
I wish I was on every show. I've been pretty good. You know, it's been a little while since we've done this. Kind of missed it, but I'm glad we're back with it, and I'm glad we're doing something that I enjoy, a little Mech Terran. But
yeah, because
I've been playing a lot of different games though.
fair enough.
I haven't
Fair enough.
StarCraft last month.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I've been playing Firefall,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is really fun in the beta. Been playing a game I can't talk about because it's under NDA. And what else? I was playing some League of Legends too. Been getting my ELO up a little bit. Just, you know, which is basically the opposite of what Galen's been doing on League of Legends.
I've been staying even, but man, it's just brutal.
Alright.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Guild Wars 2. That's
Yeah, me too. It's going to be fun. Despite the MMO injections being done, yeah, it should be a bit of fun. Also, shout out to people watching on YouTube because, as I said, dropping some frames and the actual live stream may look a bit shaky. I'm still trying to figure out what this is. So, for everyone on YouTube, you've got hopefully if everything works properly, a better looking version than everyone on the stream has. But hey, if you're on the stream, you get the advantage of asking us some questions in the chat, all that sort of cool stuff. Yeah, hopefully some peeps will come in and ask some questions because this is a very cool style to see, as I said. So we have looked at this before, quite a while ago. We looked at the style that was that came out of some replays from Last Shadow, and he was doing it a little bit. I don't think he was purely going mech, but he was doing it a little bit, and it was pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to look. It's a slightly different style, which Wigan's going to go into in just a second. Let's just load up the replay firstly. And
Now, which
the TVP versus Pez Perry on Entombed. Oh, it's you might see it as IMBA Jacko versus MXG Pez.
Okay. I won't say the time to run it. I'm on for some reason my North American client won't work, so I'm on my Korean client, and it's a little bit harder to tell what map is what. It doesn't always show it.
Right.
Let's play about. Oh, yep. On Entombed, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. This is the right one.
Murder, you good?
Yep.
Yep. Alright, let's get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so, as I was saying, this is, our blue Terran down the bottom left-hand side here on Entombed Valley is ruined. He's now part of the team Technicity, who've recently acquired him. He, as far as I understand, was a complete, I don't know, like a ghost, because no one had really sort of expected him to come out and just destroy everyone. But at ACL in Melbourne, he did quite a good job, and most of it was with Mech. So Mech TVT, TVP, and TVZ as well. So it's very interesting to see how he plays, and if you want to watch him, you could jump onto twitch.tv/ruinedc. That's ruined and then SEA. That's his stream. And you can see him doing it live there. You can ask him some questions, and he's also got a Twitter as well, blah blah blah, all that cool stuff. So yeah, so he's our blue Terran down at the bottom left hand side. In the top left hand side is our red Protoss, MXG Pez, aka Peziperi, who is another folk from C, up in the Grandmasters level. So both these guys Grandmasters as far as I remember. But anyway, firstly we'll go with you, Wigan. With Last Shadow's style of mech, I believe it was the opening that was slightly different to sort of the more modern way of doing it. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit more?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. What is that? Can you repeat your question?
When we looked at Last Shadows replays a while back, and then just a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned that his style was different and it was worse than the more modern mech style.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, to be honest, most of the time when you see mech in TVP, you open some variation of a 1-on-1, usually just a cloaked banshee into expansion. You can already see that's different from what Ruin's doing here. He's going for a CC first, which is a little bit ballsy. And what you're probably going to see after this is sort of a slightly later mech transition. He'll probably go for Marine tank to hold, or yeah, he's already going for a second barracks. So it's going to delay his transition into mech, but it's going to be a very safe opening. And honestly, I kind of like it. You're gaining yourself a little bit of an advantage going CC first, especially since Pez scouted him last in these positions.
Yep.
So you aren't going to see anything too crazy early on, trying to stop it like super chronoed out gateway units, things like that, or like a 4-gate probably. And if you go for like some sort of marine tank opening, that's about the safest way you can hold a CC first. It's going to be safe against almost any 2-base shenanigans that a Protoss is likely to try to do. And to be honest, he should be in a pretty comfortable position economically. It's a very fast second orbital. And what we're going to have to wait to see is how he wants to transition afterwards. Is he going to go for like really quick 4 gas? Is he going to go for like a delayed cloaked banshee, which can be pretty good because usually it'll surprise a Protoss player that might feel like he doesn't have to get an early robo in this kind of situation? Or is he going to go for like a big marine tank push and then add factories afterwards? So we're going to have to look out.
Fair enough. And just before we go to Amanda to talk about what Protoss needs to do here, what are the sort of the main goals? So obviously in this particular style, you've got a quick expansion. You're going to try and boost up the orbital command so you can get a lot of good mining going. And then, as you said, sort of opening up with generally what will be a marine tank. What are the goals after that? Just very generally.
Well, there's basically 2 ways that people try to play mech. It's either like a really big Thor-based with fast upgrades, like fast armor usually, and like Thor Banshee. Then maybe you can either go Marine or Hellion with that. A lot of people go like Marine Thor Banshee, and just get as many Thors as you can and just like power through the mid game and win right then. The other way is really tank based, and I think it's the more like consistent way to win. You go really heavy tanks, a lot of Hellions make stand, you can mix some Banshees into, but mainly you're just trying to build a really solid tank count, slowly expanding, and adding ghosts. Because ghosts and tanks are actually pretty difficult to deal with, because otherwise, you can just spam Immortals and basically kill anything that comes out of a factory if you're Protoss. But if you get a nice tank count, like 10 plus tanks and ghosts, you're really going to win almost any straight up fight as long as you're sieged in good position. So that would be the goal you're going for. In either one of these, you want upgrades. With the Thor style, you can kind of just get away with only going armor. But if you're going for tanks, you usually want to get both, because it just helps you. You really want to win one big fight, take expansions, deny him expansions, and just be able to win that straight up fight that Terrans normally can't win. So you want those upgrades. And then alternatively, you can also transition into BC late. Which can be very strong, especially if you're up on like 4 bases is about the perfect number. You can go to a really strong Ghost BC transition. That can be very difficult for a Protoss to handle late game.
Yep, very true. Alright, so from the Protoss side, Omoda, let's say, because I'm pretty sure Pez and a lot of the other guys who play Protoss at Grandmaster level on C will know that Ruined, or as it's here, Jacko, will play a mech style. How would you change your opening for that? Like, would you go for like a triple expand really quick, or would you go for some kind of DT thing or something like that very early, or how would you change up at all?
Actually, as much crap as I give you, Duck, for DTs,
yep.
When I see a CC first, I actually like going DTs because if a Terran player goes CC first and invests in NG bays, that is so like super risky and can die to like so many 2 base pressures. So usually they try and just crank out a ton of units and slow down their eBay a little bit. So like you can see, I mean he is going for mech, so his eBay is going to be delayed probably anyway. But he's got no detection. You could have DTs out kind of around this time.
Oh, yeah,
looks like he could have a full wall. He could have a full wall if that depot was up, I think.
No,
No, there's still space.
Yeah, the top isn't open.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a time where you could try and do some of the sneaky like DTs, but definitely the fast third is good. I also like against fast expanding Terrans. I like to go for kind of a quick warp prism, and that's how I like to put on pressure. And I can kind of see with my warp prism like what they're going for, trying to do some damage, and then figure out from there if I want to go double forge or for a fast third.
Fair enough. So yeah, so you want to. So there are generally some ways that you can sort of tech up and try and take advantage. As I said, DTs look good to someone who is, realistically, is going to be relying on actually having a spare scan available, and with two orbitals and a third just about complete, it's possible that it will be there, but you still, as you said, can still do some damage. So. Yeah, and actually, one thing you mentioned there, the warp prism thing, which I think Pez is about to do, is the prism with speed with a couple of immortals is actually really annoying to try and deal with sometimes, unless you scout it first. And yeah, it looks like Pez is going to do that. He's grabbed his warp prism speed, he's going to head down and try and put some pressure on, because much like dealing with late game Zerg, where you've got Broodlords and Infestors and Corruptors that are generally kind of slow, the mech army can be slow in some regards. Like the power punches of mech is obviously the tanks and the Thors, and they can be quite slow.
Yeah, you absolutely want to just abuse that mobility like he's doing with these drops, because there's really nothing that's cost efficient that the Terran can send to stop a drop like that. Like, if he sends tanks, which will kill immortals fast, the tanks are going to get killed and it's not going to be worth it. Hellions get blown up, the Marines are slow, they don't have stamina, anything like that. So you can do that all day, and to be honest, against a mech style, unless he's 2-base all-inning you, you can really expand all over the map. He's not going to be able to push for a very long time safely. So you can take a really fast third, a really fast fourth even, and just keep him locked into his base with a couple warp prisms. It's a great way to play against mech, and just always constantly threaten that, that back door, that run by or something like that. Just be, like you said, abuse that mobility. That's the huge weakness of mech. You can almost do anything as long as you have the mindset that you want to abuse mobility and just not let him leave his base. Because realistically, on a map like this, it's going to take a long time for a Terran to be able to secure a 4th base, as long as you're constantly poking at him and threatening that he, you might go into his natural, you might do a drop, things like that.
And here we go. He's trying to push up, right up the ramp there. The tank's a little bit out of position. Take down some of the stalkers and a couple of the other units, but just sort of, moving along there. And deflects.
And you definitely don't want to poke so far in that you lose half your army. You definitely don't want to catch those volleys and those things, because that's exactly what the Terran player is hoping to do. And if you do lose a bunch of units for free, then suddenly that army that the Terran has right now becomes that much more threatening. And I really don't like the 16 stalkers he has. There's almost no, unless you're like very actively trying to blink into the base, which isn't very good on this map. With stalkers are almost dead weight. That's like exactly what you want the Protoss player to build, is stalkers, because it's one of the few units that tanks really just crush outright. Like a high charge lot with upgrade count, more immortals, things like that. Even Templar Archons are good in this, against this, because they absorb a ton of tank shots. The splash doesn't even splash out past the Archons barely. Hell, even air is better than adding stalkers. You do so much with that gas that would be more useful than having 19 stalkers now in the composition.
Yeah. Hey, could you turn the speakers down? Your speakers down a little bit. You're sort of coming through.
Yeah. Can you mind pausing the game for a moment so I can go into my options?
Yeah, sure. I'm on 1551.
1550. Okay, 1 second. Alright, I'll have to fiddle with it for a second to figure out where it is in the green corner.
If you go into options, the second menu.
Got it right here.
Yep.
Bring that way down. Accept. Alright. Should be better now.
Cool. Murder, you good?
Yep.
Alright, so 1551, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alrighty. I really like the way that Ruined is playing this out so far. His ghosts are a little bit late, but that's okay because, you know, there hasn't been a composition that Pez has made that really super warrants the ghosts yet, though those 7 or 8 immortals are a little bit scary. I really like what he's doing, even though he's done a little bit of damage. Oh, big advantage. This is where these ghosts are so huge.
Yeah.
Just look how much damage these immortals are doing. The immortals alone could clean all of this up, but if they're EMP'd, then suddenly the tanks become effective against them. Look how hard it is for the Terran player to really secure this fourth if Pez hadn't thrown away a lot of his units and he didn't have all of those stalkers. Like, the stalkers really, really killed him. Those things, if you notice in that fight, those things disappeared instantly. They were just not even part of the fight. If those had been charge lots, those charge lots slam into that, splashes onto, you know, his own units, things like that, and they tear up tanks pretty well. So a little bit of a composition fail by Pez, but to be perfectly honest, he's in a very comfortable position because he's traded down enough and he's on even bases, though he could be up a base, it'd be nice. He's on even bases and they traded down. He should be able to macro up and take an advantage and start stretching this army out. You know, this is when you want to start dropping the main things like that. Because now the Terran player, he only has 6 tanks, 6 ghosts. Like, he can't fight much of anything. Like, honestly, get a mothership, do recalls, drop immortals with a prism, things like that. The Terran player really cannot afford to stretch that army out at all. It is just so weak if you have to split it up.
Yeah.
So you really want to actively be doing. It's like playing against Zerga's Protoss, right? You want to be warping charge lots into the other bases, things like that. Once you trade down, same thing against Mech.
Yeah, just on the ghosts, it was actually Ruined had said to me that pretty much, because obviously I had trouble with the ghosts, because I was like, alright, when should I actually get the ghosts out? And he'd said, basically, if you see the Templar archives warping in, or a second robo warping in, that's when you need to start getting them out. So you pick up, more than 10 ghosts, and that's when you need to start looking at making sure you have that EMP defense as well. So, Omerta, let's say you're at this spot here, you're comfortable on 4, almost 5 bases. What would the composition what sort of composition are you going for now? Are you looking to make sure you get a big sort of death ball army up, or do you want to, as Wigan was saying, do you want to take advantage more of the fact that you can do a lot more harassment because the Terran's so immobile?
It's kind of hard to harass at this point because the Terran player is going to have an excess of minerals, so he's going to have a ton. Well, it's actually a huge fight. Oh god, the EMPs are so good.
EMPs are a joke.
Yeah.
That's why you need those EMPs.
IMBA.
That's okay. I don't like this guy's composition that much. When I go against Mech, I like to do what I call Protoss Mech, which is I go for like 3 robotics. And I just make basically nothing but robo units. Because the Terran can't really attack you. Like, I'll use 1 robo to make Colossi and then the other 2 to make Immortals. And then you get to this point where you've got seriously like 15 Immortals and 5 Colossi, and you can just kind of walk into the Terran's army and kill it. I do like the Stargate transition though. I kind of like Phoenix's better. I think they provide a lot more utility, like picking up tanks and stuff like that, and then even to harass, and they kill Vikings better than Void Rays do. Well, that might not actually be a fact, but I feel like they do, just because you can get so many more of them out, get bigger numbers, and they're really good to complement your carriers.
Yeah.
So the Stargates are definitely good at this point in the game, but I think he has too many gateway units. The Zealots are good for a while, but once the Terran kind of maxes out, your Zealots just die so fast that they really don't do enough damage. So I just like to get a fat robo army with a little bit of air, and then eventually late game try and switch into carriers.
Yeah.
The
And
big problem we're seeing with Pez is his upgrades are like really bad for this late in the game.
Well,
Use as,
that was actually something I wanted to that was something I wanted to comment on a little earlier, is that the Terran's upgrades were so late, man. It was like 15 minutes into the game, and his 1-1 had just finished. Another thing I like to do against Mech when I'm playing Protoss is get 2 forges really fast. Like, I feel like Pez at this point in the game should be like 3-3-2. Or he could be, if he gets his he scouts the mech and gets his double forge and just focuses on chronoing those out. Like, he could be so far ahead in upgrades right now.
For sure. There's definitely a number of, like, honestly, there's so many different ways you can deal with mech. You just need to pick one and focus on it. Pez, I think, tried a lot of different things here. It's just not working out for him. And dear God, do not attack and do a choke against the mech player. Like, just wait for him. You don't have to do that. There's no reason for you to do that. And look at like what Ruined has to do here. All he has to do here is just sit there and wait for this Protoss player to kill himself. Like, the Protoss player is playing perfectly into Ruined style. Because what Ruin wants to do is just wait until he's maxed out, 3-3, and then go. While he's, you know, taking half the map and building probably like 8 starports. That's what he wants to do. Like, he doesn't want to do anything right now but sit there and let the Protoss player kill himself. And the Protoss player is obliging him perfectly, man.
Yep.
Speaking of starports, we have got the fusion core is down. 3 battle cruisers are on the way. So there's the what I don't know. For me, you got to make sure it's a slow build up to BCs. Like, sometimes, to sort of put it in a different vein of thought, for a Zerg, if you have a lot of you know, you've got a lot of roaches or a lot of random lings or something like that, and you've got some DTs now coming into the natural of Ruin, but you sort of, you know, you just say, alright, let's wipe out all the lings, let's wipe out all the roaches so I can build a whole nother bunch of broodlords or something. But I've sort of had trouble, whether it's just me being bad or whether it's actually just the way you got to try and do it, in that if you say, alright, here you go, have some of my Hellions and a couple of tanks so I can get 3 more battle cruisers, you can actually run into quite a lot of trouble there because of the way that this style works, that you've got to sit back and say, come at me when I've got my 3-3 upgrades, and then you start slowly transitioning into it. So
yeah, the way you want to do that is you don't want to just go for BCs. You want to max out on, you know, Ghost, Hellion, Tank, Ghost, basically just Ghost, Tank, Viking, right? And you can throw in a couple Hellions and things like that, but you're mainly trading Hellions for workers and stuff like that in map control, which you didn't really have to do this game, it's okay. And once you're ready to push with that, then you want to have like this wall of planetaries like he has. You want to have all your infrastructure built to remax on BCs and tanks and Vikings before, and then when you go and you slow push, and as you lose pieces of your army, you're remaxing on BCs. So when he finally breaks your army and loses like most of his stuff doing it, ideally, he gets to your base, there's a ass load of planetary fortresses and BCs waiting for him. And then you go kill him. You just win the game. And hopefully you're nuking at the same time too, because nukes are actually just good in this situation.
yeah, definitely. So it looks as if Pez is just really boosting up that army with some air units now. We can see there's a lot of Void Rays out. There's, I think that's 8, along with these 2 carriers, a mothership. We've now got a whole bunch of Templar that are sitting here. I'm assuming he's going to switch those into Archons, because he doesn't actually have Storm yet. No, he doesn't have Storm at all, so...
it is strange. And Storm can actually be pretty good against mech. You know, none of that stuff's going to move him out of the storms, and it will kill, like, it will kill tanks, it'll kill Vikings, it'll damage BCs, feedback is good too. And actually I don't like the way Ruined is going about this now, at this point. The way he's slowly adding BCs and not doing anything with his army, he's sort of stretching himself out as far as his composition goes. And he could get into a very dangerous position because he's let the Protoss player work towards whatever composition he can want, and to be honest, like, a mothership is a very strong choice against a meching player. If you know, vortex half those tanks, or get a good vortex on the air, or something like that, you can really pick apart this kind of mech army. I would have much rather seen him make that push with that really strong, almost 200 supply tank, Ghost, Viking army, and then, you know, then rebuilt his dream composition after doing some damage to that. Because there was a while there that this Protoss player was just not prepared at all. He did not have this air. He had lost a bunch of his ground, you know. He could have done some damage there. And you do need to this late in the game. You do need to worry about giving a Protoss player the opportunity to build a dream composition while you're stuck with like a bunch of supply and maybe a unit that's not going to be helpful, like tanks against air.
Yep. We got 10 orbital commands out just to make sure that Ruined has enough mining going. Of course, as you can see, there are mules all over the place, and we saw just before that there were some SCVs that were sacrificed. He's now down to 35 SCVs. And here goes a little battle on the right-hand side. Some tanks sieging up, Immortals being EMP'd, and then being down. That's how good EMP is.
Yeah, and the Immortals are just being thrown away, and you might as well at this point throw them away.
Yep.
They're not a huge threat, and to be honest, the tanks aren't a big threat anymore. So there's no real reason to have those Immortals.
Yeah.
Actually,
Battlecruiser count.
this is kind of a situation where I might even want to see Ruin start to lose a lot of his tanks, because they're really not going to be useful in a fight coming up.
What do you reckon, Omoto? We've got all these Templar here. Would it be worth him just chucking the 200 into Storm? I mean...
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
And still having an upgrade problem. He's still only 1 armor, 1 shields. That's going to be a big issue, especially when you're relying on his huge Archon numbers. Would really like to see some upgrades there. Like I understand he's going for air upgrades.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to just ignore the ground upgrades.
There's a hilarious worker fight on the left-hand side there, trying to put a cannon down. A probe and an SCV were fighting.
Yeah, and I really don't like Pez's... Like, it's okay now that there's no other bases to take, but he took this 9 o'clock base really early, and that base should just never have stood. Like, that is a location that towards the mid game when Ruin had that really strong army against not much of Pez, he could have pushed right up there, and tanks on that positioning are almost impossible to break. Like, you can just slow push from that location and really not be able to be stopped. But this has kind of all gone out the window. This has gone like to this weird super late situation. And, I'm not even sure what's going to happen here. I think
beautiful
with good
spread
EMP,
from Pez, like that's one thing that he's done really nicely. But a couple of ghosts jump in, throw down a few EMPs, getting some of the void rays. Here we go.
If his EMPs are good enough and his upgrades should help him win the day, but he...
Oh, there you go, the feedback on the BCs. I totally forgot about that, my bad.
Feedback is really strong against BCs, actually. He really took a risk here, letting the Protoss player build up this much late. And he's a little bit lucky that Pez didn't really respond with the correct composition. So you do have to be very careful. Like even though you're going for when you're meching, you're going for an army that ideally can't be stopped. You still have the same problem that you have always. And it's very difficult for you to adjust your composition based on what your opponent does. So there are still timings when you should be attacking and using your army that you have an advantage with at that time, and even be willing to trade it down if you know you have the production like you would at this point, split map.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, like this is even this late in the game, if your army gets crushed out in the open, like you're still just going to lose the game as a Terran player. That's always just a thing that can happen to a Terran player.
Yeah.
So you need to be willing to push at the right time and not let a Protoss player build a perfect composition. Fortunately, not a lot of people mech, so I don't think most Protoss players know what to build against specific mech composition.
I've had some hilarious compositions to try and deal with me when I've been meching. Although it is only sort of Gold League, but it's still kind of funny. Like I had a guy, he went for Mass Zealots. I was like, what?
I mean, that can work as long as you have the proper support.
Yeah. I go for a lot of Hellions.
So frustrating.
But as we can see, VCs with 1-3-3, a little bit Ember. taking down buildings in half a second. And the mech army, we got 5 Thors here, we got 10 battle cruisers, some tanks that are still alive. Some of these tanks have been around since the olden days, and still 6 ghosts left over, so there are still some EMPs to throw out there. And as we can see, Pez trying to remax with some carriers. I think there's a few Void Rays in there as well, a lot of Archons, and he's again saving some of those Templar. I can't believe I totally forgot about feedback on the BCs just before, but that's what he was using some of those Templar that were standing around for. And as we can see, Ruin throwing down some mules to repair some of his stuff. We got a few units here that are a bit in the red, but they'll be healed up quite quickly, because mules are good fun.
Yeah, and I really like the adding a handful of Thors in here, because Thors are just so good against gateway units, especially when upgraded like this, that you're basically eliminating a big part of what makes playing mech dangerous, is that quick remax on gateway after you've traded army down. Gateway units just get eaten up by 3 Thors really bad. And at this point, you can see there's no immortals to crack the Thors. Thors are going to be really strong.
Yeah.
And they help against carriers, because they're pretty good against interceptors. So all around, good decision to add some Thors in as opposed to tanks late. And good decision to attack there and just crush the Protoss when he's weak.
Yeah. I think I noticed that the probe count went down to like 60 or something at one point. I'm not sure if that was just an intentional trade down, or...
I think he threw him away to get a better army.
Okay.
I didn't see any... Let's see, where's probes killed or workers killed? Can you... you're already out of the game.
Yeah,
what's the hotkey for that?
Control R.
Control R. Okay, yeah, he didn't really kill any, or any exceptional amount. So he just threw them away, like throughout the game. He just threw them away at the end.
Yeah. All right.
And I guess you can do that. I wouldn't really recommend doing it. I think you should chip away at a Terran army and chip away at his economy. You shouldn't really just go for that big kill, especially if you have a bad composition and bad upgrades. But yeah, those are pretty good. That's certainly one way of playing mech. That very, very turtly. Just wait for that perfect composition, that perfect kill move.
I like to call it the Brood War style, because
I think Brood War is a little bit more timing attack based. But definitely 3/3 mech in Brood War was like the scariest thing ever. It's not quite as scary in this, but it's still a little bit scary. There's a couple more things you can do if you're an aspiring Terran player when you're doing that style. Like, nuking is actually quite good. Just using it to harass. And just constantly building Hellions and trading them down for economy is a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's the way that I've been doing it, is using a lot of Hellions to just try and harass, and just making it so that it's not easy to get that big sort of either the big robo ball that Omerta was talking about, or into that late sort of thing with a lot of whether it be a heavy air presence with carriers and Phoenix and that sort of stuff, or
Yeah, and Hellions are one of those things that if you start killing a lot of probes, that can really snowball out of control. And you can win a game just with Hellions if you gain enough of an advantage and are able to just constantly beat down that probe count, and it takes a lot of pressure off. Like I was saying earlier, you want to constantly be prodding at a Terran player just to threaten that backdoor or that run by. If you have Hellions out on the map and they're killing that probe that goes to try to make an expansion, things like that, then he has to pull that army back to deal with that. So you're able to just relieve a lot of pressure by doing things like that. And Hellion drops are good all game, and you have a lot of time. Like it took him like 45 minutes or something like that to really want to go and attack in this game. That's plenty of time to be trading Hellions down, to be dropping some nukes, things like that, while you're just very slowly building up that army you want.
Yeah. Omerta.
Yeah.
I think you were mentioning that robo composition. Do you think that's how many bases do you reckon you'd need to get that going properly? Is it 4?
No, 3.
3, right?
I mean, I keep my gateway count pretty low, like 2, 3, or 4, probably 3. And I just don't make a lot of gateway units because, you kind of have to scout. There's some differences. There's a big difference if they're going for like a big marine tank timing attack. I don't think you want to do that, but like that game, he had 2 reactor factories and 2 reactor tanks, or tech lab factories. So in that case, the Terran player just won't. They just won't move out to attack you, because like any other circumstance, it would just be a bad idea for them to move across the map at that point in the game. So I kind of just get my upgrades going, get a 3rd robo like super quick, and just really focus on robo production. I think it's the strongest way to go, because the Colossi just shred Hellions and Marines, and if you position your army well, keep it spread, you can seriously just kind of walk into the Terran's army and just kill it. Yeah.
Definitely. Alright, just to the folks on the stream, I do know there are some frame rate issues. I actually have no idea what's causing it, but I am going to try and fiddle around with it. Yeah, there will be a VOD posted, so if you want to see maybe a prettier version of the show later on, or if you're going to go to sleep or something like that, you can always watch it later over on youtube.com/DuckvilleWall. What we're going to do is go into one more game, of course, because that first one was very long. Which replay are we looking at, Wigan? The TVZ.
Which one are we looking at?
The TVZ.
Was it the TVZ on?
Which map?
Yeah. It was on Entombed.
Okay,
yeah.
Entombed. Okay. Alright,
Shout out to Trumpet, by the way.
Yeah, Trumpet. He's pretty cool. Ow. Alright, so P and T. We have got a TVZ here. We'll start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright.
Down the bottom left is our Red Zerg, Centul Asia. I don't actually know if this is someone that I should know of. I'm sorry if it is. If it's like Nesty, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's Nesty. He's going to be down the bottom left on Entombed. Our blue Terran hero up at the top left is, of course, Team Technicity's Ruined. Ermota, we'll start with you this time. For a Zerg, given that you're our Zergy player for the most part, what are this map, TVZ, let's say you're on ladder, so of course you do have the possibility of this the vertical spawn.
So you're Roche.
Yeah. What are the standard sort of thing that you'd open with against a Terran like this?
I'd go for a really fast 3rd hatch and just make sure I have an Overlord like around that area to make sure they don't try and do some kind of sneaky bunker. Like I would think about getting a 3rd hatch before my 3rd and 4th queens, and then getting kind of a quick ling speed. It depends. Like if they're going for a 1-Rax expand, I would definitely do that. You could even try and play blind, because 1-Rax expand is just so popular on this map. You can go 3 hatcheries before spawning pool if you want to, but that's really risky.
Yeah.
Yeah, in general, I'd go for a slightly quicker 3rd hatch than normal, which would mean I'd start it before I start my 3rd and 4th queen, and just kind of scout, see if he's going for Hellions or what he's up to.
If you were, and let's say that you are playing against Ruined, and you know that he's a bit of a mech player, is that the same sort of response you were talking about there, or would you change that up a bit?
Yeah, I would do the same thing. I mean, I kind of open the same way. I always get roaches. There are a lot of Zergs that skip roaches now, when it kind of used to be standard to get that quick roach horn, but I love the roaches just because you can scout with them, and if they do make Hellions, you're just already ready for them. So I would just have my roach horn and, you know, kind of poke at his front, see if he's making a lot of Marines or if he's making more bunkers and Hellions. And that would kind of give me an idea until I can get my Overlord in.
Yep. Fair enough. Alright, so we do have that 1-Rax expand here. Just obviously a little bit more of a safer version than what... wait, did he do CC? Yeah, he went CC first last time. Obviously, for TVZ or TVP, this is a little bit more of a safer way to do it. Get a couple of Marines out just to make sure that there's no sneaky Zerglings or anything like that, which will come down and wreck your day. And he's going to put that bunker in that sexy spot over there, which is just...
That is a very good spot for a bunker.
Oh yeah, man.
Now, you wait. But so what you should expect from seeing a 1-Rax first from a Terran player is it generally means that you're going to see Hellion Banshee. Especially if you can magically scout that he's going double gas afterwards. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And I think this is honestly, you could CC first into mech, but I think it'd probably be very risky. It's a little bit hard for a Zerg player to punish the CC first. In fact, Marine King would say that the only way to punish the CC first is if you are 6-pooling already. But even that doesn't even work.
Even then.
Yeah, you saw that game, right, Dave? Where he stuck.
Yeah, no, that was one of the most ridiculous.
Amazing.
But you can't really transition easily and safely to mech afterwards. So, but if you do the 1-Rax into Hellion Banshee play, which I'm hoping is what we're seeing from Ruined, it looks like it so far. You have a very natural transition into mech or bio. You can use your early Marines to deny Overlord scouting, and the Zerg player can't really tell what you're doing after just that initial Hellion Banshee. You can go either way. You can throw down 2-3 more racks, go for a bio Hellion, whatever, or just plain bio, or you can go into add 2 more factories and go straight into mech. So I really like it. Though this really fast third gas is interesting. That probably means he's going to go for, he's going for multiple starports. That you can do that to go into mech because you're getting a lot. You're gonna get 2 tech labs early, which you can just very naturally easily put a pair of factories on later. It's a little bit cheesy though. It's definitely designed to kill a third, but if you fail to kill that third and do significant damage with 2-port Banshee, you are putting yourself in a very vulnerable position, especially if the Zerg player is going for like Muta or something like that, which I think is honestly a very good play these days. Because Muta Baneling is very strong against bio play, which is common now, and it really shuts down the Banshee part of the Hellion Banshee that you see after 1-Rax expand. It's a big risk, man, because you are putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. And to be honest, if a Zerg player scouts that third gas, he should suspect something like this.
Well, the funny thing about this is at the IEM qualifiers, like the Asia, Australia qualifiers, or whatever they were, that we had just a couple of weeks ago, where Pig and Moonglade, both of our 2 of our very top Zergs were playing, and Mafia was there as well. There was one of the Chinese players, Nuclear, was doing this double port thing, and then like a switch into like 4 or 5 Banshees and then a couple Thors, and he'd just do this massive all-in. So it was just kind of funny that you were mentioning that it puts you in a very bad spot, because eventually the guys got a hold of how to deal with him, and obviously that's why we've got Pig and Moonglade over at IEM. But as you can see, double Banshees being produced. The cloak is just about done, and he's obviously got that 3rd command center switching into the orbital command as well, so he is definitely going to go try and do some damage with this in a minute.
Yeah, and I'm much less of a fan of the way he's doing this, because you can forego that 3rd gas and get your Hellions at the normal time and go 2-port without cloak and still get the same Banshee count out that you would going this way, but it's much harder to scout, and you're not spending that gas tying it up in cloak. You're putting yourself in a much better transition situation afterwards, because if you don't do damage and you do it that way, you're probably not in a good spot, but you're not out of the game. If he does it this way and he doesn't do damage, he's probably going to be out of the game against a really strong Zerg player. I do like that he's going for a fast third with this, though. The one thing he has to keep an eye out is, again, for early mutas, that, like you mentioned, the Chinese player was going for like a Thor follow-up.
Yep.
Almost any time you go mech, no matter how you go about it, if you go the old way or the new way, the first thing oh god, he scouted the 2-port with the Overseer. That's really well, 2-port's basically on the way now anyway. He needs to just be putting so many spore colonies down. Where's the spores? No sunkens either, man. He's just playing really risky.
Oh, he has 2,000 minerals, too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so this is not how I would do. I think that if you're gonna go for a fast third, there's like no reason, and you know that he's going for like Hellion Banshee. There's no reason to not get like spine crawl. I'm supposed to summon colonies.
Spine crawl before, I was like, what?
Yeah. Been watching some Brood War lately. There's like no reason not to do that. You definitely don't have to lose this third there if there's a couple spores. Like he has detection, he has a layer, he even has mutas on the range now, which will clean this up easily. But if he just spent some of that extra resources on, some spines and some spores, I think he's like perfectly safe. He's not even going to be losing many queens. The muta follow, very good idea. Taking that fourth really quick, good idea. Fortunately, he didn't lose very many of his drones, I think. Check that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he didn't lose any drones, so honestly, as long as he doesn't lose this other hatchery, like, he's going to be in an okay position anyway. But yeah, so what I was saying earlier is no matter what you do, how you get to mech, the first two things that come out of tech labbed factories are Thors, because that muta transition is such a threat, and it can snowball out of control very quick. Like, say he goes for really fast mutas, he gets to your base, you only have 2 Thors, and he can magic box them down, you just lose the game there. He just camps your factories and you'll never recover.
Has happened
so
to
you have to
me.
be very... And it's honestly like if you first... Oh, he's got a Thor stuck, that sucks. Well, it kind of needs to be in his main anyway. Honestly, like if you're starting out to try to mech against Zerg, you're going to lose a lot of games that way. There's like 2 ways you're going to lose games early as a player who mechs against Zerg. You're going to get roach all-in and just die sometimes. And you're going to lose to mutas because they just build them and they kill your Thors. And you're like, cool, why do I have these Thors? But or your Thors are late and you just lose. And I'm sure you can probably speak to that since you've just started meching a little bit recently.
Yeah. Actually, the first game I played, when I tried to do it, I actually had no idea that you need to actually try and grab a Thor pretty quick off it, just because mutas are so ridiculous when you're going for that low barracks style, that I actually just lost. Like, I had a lot of tanks, I had a couple of bunkers at the front, I had some Hellions that were running around doing damage, and it was all very sexy. And then, it wasn't even many mutas, it was like 8 mutas came in. And I was like, oh yeah, I've got 4 Marines, now what do I do? So...
That was a cute little play. He tried to snipe that Thor with Lings and then move in with some Banelings. You can do stuff like that, but I think it's much better to just keep a decently high muta count, like a threatening muta count, like 10 like he has now. And if you're going to get some Lings in there, then just go magic box the Thor while the Lings are there, then the Thor's really going to die. You don't need to throw away Banelings. That's just gas that you don't need to throw away. And you're not really going to do much with those Banelings anyway. At that point, like there's going to be Hellions out. Hellions are quite good against Banelings, especially if they're off creep. So you're just kind of throwing away units then, and there's no reason to do that as a Zerg player. Like that Terran player isn't going to be able to move across the map for quite a long time, unless you throw away a lot of units and you're not safe. But you have that threat of mutas. The Terran player has to build a ton of turrets because he's going for mech, even if it's Thor mech. That just has to be there just so when he moves out, you don't just kill the entire mineral line and then go back and crush the army.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty good way to deal with mech, is just killing his base and then killing his army afterwards. So yeah, just don't be throwing away Lings and stuff like that. There's just no reason to at this point. And to be honest, you shouldn't be going mutiling Baneling against Thor or Hellion. That's like the exact opposite of what you want to be doing. Infestors, quite good against everything in that composition. Infestors are actually super good, especially if you can neural parasite some Thors. Even if you can't, just fungal the Hellions. It's like amazing. I like that he hasn't added any more mutas yet. Oh, now he's adding more. God dang it, Centralasia! What are you doing?
Omerta, what's with the drone count? Oh, there we go. He's starting to fix it up.
Yeah, he's woken up and realized that drone's good units.
Yeah.
I think he's not. I I feel like this is another case of not having a lot of experience against mech. There's no reason to add all these mutas. You keep adding mutas against a meching player when you start killing Thors and have a lead, or like you crush an army and then you remax with mutas because like there's no way he has enough Thors out, you know, to deal with it. You don't want to just make a bunch of Thors or a bunch of mutas because like he already has 4 Thors. You could make 40 mutas and 4 Thors with repair are like going to be cost effective against that. Doesn't like you're not going to make enough mutas to win a direct engagement. Get infestors, hell, get roaches. Roaches are not even that bad against this kind of composition because he's like no tanks. Get anything, like hell, you can go hydras if you want with this, like anything but mutaling.
I don't know if you can get
Against
hydras. Hydras are never a good idea.
You know, actually, weirdly enough, hydras are really good against mech, especially like Hellion Banshee. If you open hydras against Hellion Banshee,
Go on.
you're gonna do really well. It's bad against literally everything else. So it's a little bit risky.
Meta's got something. Go on.
No, hydras are not good. They're really bad.
Definitely go hydras.
Like, blue flame completely destroys them, and tanks completely
Fungal's
destroy
a
them.
pretty useful skill to have.
Yeah, well, you can't make a lot of infestors and a lot of hydras. You
don't need a
can't
lot.
do that.
They do like infinity DPS, and there's no tanks in this game. But anyway.
Trust me,
anyway,
they're bad.
my point is this: you can basically build anything except mutiling against Thor Hellion with upgrades. Like, look at how good the upgrades are for Ruined right now. This is exactly
ready.
Yeah, like those Thors are going to be so strong against this comp. They're just going to be so
There's
money.
a few banelings.
Well, if you get enough banelings, you can actually kill clumped Thors pretty well.
Yeah, I think Nestea demonstrated that one time on Belshire Beach, if I remember correctly.
Yep, and the reason that works is because you get because like the Terran player either has to attack on 2 or 3 bases if he's getting a lot of Thors, or he can't attack at all. Oh my god, he's just re-clumping them for the. But yeah, God, why are you just attacking? You don't even have your Broodlords finished yet. So the reason that works is because you can get a huge economic advantage against a meching player that isn't able to attack because he's getting a lot of Thors. So as a Terran player, if you're going for this Thor style, you usually want to hit like a 2-2 timing with like 150, 160 supply. That's a strong timing to hit usually against most anything a Zerg player is going to do. Or you want to like... Well, that's really all you want to do if you get this many Thors. Like, there's so many ways to deal with a high Thor count if you're a late game Zerg player. You can go Broodlords, you can deal with it just a bunch of different ways. And honestly, he should have like 8 bases right now. And even then, like, this is still all traded down pretty well. Like, he's even supply, and he has a good bank, and he killed an expansion. You know, like, the Zerg player should feel comfortable in this situation. It's going to take a long time to rebuild all those Thors.
Yeah, and that's I think one thing that you have to take into playing mech that I found is that it's a little bit like playing as a Protoss, whereby if you lose that big composition, like I can't remember exactly how many Thors were here, but if you lose half of that, you can be in a lot of trouble. If you lose all of that, you're basically dead, because it takes so long to get everything back together, because it's all such high cost, high value units. And there we go.
Also, it's just the production time too, man.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to make those units.
Definitely.
Now he should feel extremely comfortable.
Yeah, after taking that down.
The Terran player has basically 1 mining base. He's just getting his natural back. Doesn't have any minerals. He saw that he doesn't have any other more expansions. Like, this is when a Zerg player maxes on, like seriously, Zerg player here, get like 8 infestors. Ultras are okay against Thors. They're okay. I would much rather see infestors though. Like, you can do anything with infestors. Infestors even cover you against the ravens that are slowly starting to trickle in here. Infestors are so good. I don't know how many games I've seen, even in GSL. It was like MVP or somebody like that. No, it was an MVP. It was somebody who had like maxed BC Raven, and the Zerg player literally had just like 30 infestors, and that was it. And like didn't even have bases, and still won anyway, because infestors are just so good against Terran Air and against them. They're so good. There's no reason not to get them.
You see the Hellions capturing some of those drones down the bottom right? That was cool.
Oh yeah. Blue Flame is pretty good.
I like this. There's like no reason not to just be doing this constantly. Like, this is the fun part of playing Mech. It's just running Hellions around and killing like ridiculous amounts of things because they line up. Heroic.
Alright, so we've got 6 Ultras just waddling their way up to the third. Okay, they're just gonna walk through. Alright. Okay.
What is this? What is
just
this? Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Maybe he thinks he's like so far ahead he can just do this, but this is like such a bad idea.
Oh wow. Yeah, you take down that auto turret. What a chance.
He didn't even get it. That's gonna burn to death.
Auto turrets are ridiculous. I don't know why like QXC was complaining about it, but god, they're huge.
Like, if he wants to throw away units to try to kill bases, send those Lings in to the natural or to the third, and then send your Ultras to kill that expansion. Like, don't just throw away 6 Ultras, man. Whoa. What are you doing?
And he is still making more Lings and more Banelings here, which is pretty interesting.
I mean, he's got such a bank that he can kind of try to do stuff like this, but I don't know. It's not how I play against Mech.
It's pretty bad. Like, you need to just be making hive units and infestors right now. Like, he's got 3,000 gas. Like, you should just be making tech units and
like infestors
a
are like
few
the
hit
best
squads of
unit.
Lings.
I'd rather have infestors than any other unit in the game. I don't know why he's not just getting infestors. I'm sorry, essentially.
And he's
I don't mean to be so harsh, but my God,
some more Banelings as well. So, yeah, it's getting a little bit scary. I mean, like Ruin's obviously still struggling for his mining a little bit. He's only down to the 36 SCVs, and while in the previous game that was fine because he had like all those orbitals to help out, this time he does not have as many orbitals as he'd like. And now, as you can see, Baneling's trying to roll through, going to try and.
Oh, I could have just clicked the orbital down with this. What is this? What am I watching here? Alright, now this is like in Ruin's position. This is a hard game to call for him because he should feel like he's behind.
Yeah.
Like this Zerg player shouldn't be losing this game. Like, he should have half the map.
I think if there is one thing that would be stopping Ruin from saying, all right, you know, this game is in the bag, I think it's that. Oh, he's gonna start doing it now. Is some more Hellion harassment? Like we saw those 4 Hellions that went down the right hand side of the map, killed a whole bunch of drones. Like Central Asia was up at, I think it was at 73 before those Hellions found the random transfer of drones. And now he's down to 62, has not bought any more. Okay, he's building them now.
I mean,
but I think just a little bit more harass would be nice, and then he can sort of feel like he's a little bit more comfortable with his with the 13 doors, 4 Banshees, 10 Vikings, 3 tanks, and 8 Ravens that are out. So.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, like Hellion harassment should not be effective anymore. It should be very difficult to get Hellions anywhere useful. But nuke harassment is actually quite good in this situation.
That's a good point, yeah.
See this a lot on what is that map? Metropolis, where you see the Terrans always go for the very, very late game, you know, BC Raven compositions. That's when this is the kind of situation where nuke harassment is quite good, and nukes would be good if this guy was ever building in, or not nukes. Ghosts would be good if this guy was ever building infestors, but he's just not because he doesn't like them for some reason.
Yeah. Now,
like I just don't get it. But
interesting.
Even with all the ridiculous like mistakes that this Zerg player has made, like oh my god,
oh my
Why?
god, holy
Why?
crap! Well.
Ravens are overpowered, Dave.
Why? Why would
Ravens, sir?
Zerg player? What?
Wow.
Ravens
Is this
are
the guy? Is this
overpowered.
the guy that they buffed Queens for? Like Jesus Christ! Oh, that was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I was gonna say, even though this Zerg player has messed up that many things, he was up in supply, and Ruined has to win with this army. Because if he loses it, like there's no falling back to anything.
Hey, look, there's some infestors.
Oh, there's yeah! Oh, and you missed the phone. Like if some of the gas was in infestors, like Ruined is in a really precarious position there, but nope. Everything's dead. All right. I don't know what to say about that game. That was
Buff the Raven.
I just don't know. That's. I mean, this guy's GM. I'm assuming he's
Yeah.
better than me, but I don't know what was going on there. He's just an off game. That was just the weirdest decision making to me. Like he could, like even with all the weird, like throwing away the Banelings and the Ultralisks, like he could have been in a good position there.
Yeah.
If he didn't just like blood for the blood god, here's all my shit for HSMs. I have no infestors. GG.
I think one of the big things that was mainly during the mid game was, as you said, throwing away the units was fine, but have a look at the third base. There are still drones mining here. We're at 33 minutes. I'm pretty sure third base should be mined out by then.
And his economic management was pretty abysmal because, like, to be honest, if you're going mech, like, you have a lot of harassment tools at your disposal. You have Banshees, you have Ravens, you have Blue Flame Hellions, and you have nukes that you can all incorporate pretty easily.
Oh, I meant the Zerg.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying
Oh.
you have all these different harassment options, right, to use against a Zerg player. And to be honest, they shouldn't do that much damage, but there's all those options. Rune didn't do any of that stuff. And the Zerg player's economy was still bad.
It's still pretty bad, yeah. Alrighty.
So I don't know. That's a. If I was the Zerg player, I think I would kick myself if I watched this replay.
Yeah.
I'd feel a little bit bad about it, but
Um,
that kind of shows definitely shows the strengths of mech, but it also shows a little bit of the weaknesses. Like despite the Zerg player throwing away that much, because of the style Ruin went for, he wasn't able to put any pressure on. He wasn't able to attack. So Zerg player is able to throw away that much stuff. And if that Zerg player had made a couple better decisions along the course of that game, he might have taken it. It would have taken a lot of very good Raven control to be able to fight a Zerg army that has a lot of infestors in it out in the open like that.
yeah. Because you would have the fungus on it, and then it would be done. Amerta, did you have any final thoughts on that one?
Central Asia needs to work on his ZBT mech. Yeah, I mean, there were just a lot of mistakes, and he got kind of flustered by the Banshees too. Like, he lost all his queens and just like didn't remake them for like 5 minutes. So he was sitting on 0 or 1 queens for like forever. He stockpiled a ton of resources, and then, like Dave talked about, all game the composition was just bad. I mean, I like to just make a shitload of roaches and just attack with them, sort of like how you play ZBP. You just kind of take your mid-game army advantage and just really shove it down their throat, get drops, like drop on their army, drop in their main, while taking for your 4th and 5th base and teching up to Hive. If you go Mutiling, you just use so much gas in Banes and Mutas that when the Terran's army gets really strong, your Infestors and Hive Tech are so far behind. Like you won't have the full energy Infestors, you won't have the Broodlords, and enough gas to remake the army, which I think is actually more important. Like, yeah, he lost all those Broodlords the first time, and then from that point he was basically out of the game, couldn't really remake it. So
Yeah, and I think that also, as we sort of mentioned, links into the economic issues that Central Asia had in the fact that the drone count, despite very little, if any, harassment from Ruined, I suppose there was a little bit, didn't really affect the drone count at all, but he was still it was like he was really fluctuating, and I was sitting there and I couldn't really understand why, because there were times when he was up at 75. I think there was one time where I saw him at 80, and then down to 60 or something like that, and I was like, what, am I missing something? Is there something going on the minimap that I've missed? But no, so yeah, I think, and that links in with exactly what you've said there, so, okay, well, Omoda, it's your turn to pick a topic for next week.
Ooh. Dude, I'm so bad at ZVZ. I kind of like just want to watch some good ZVZs.
I
think that would...
Well, you're just the only one that wants to watch ZVZ.
I know, like
Why don't you move to Australia? We've got a lot of ZVZ going on here, I tell you what.
It is seasick right now. That's right, it's like everything there, right?
Pretty much, well, most of the time.
Okay, here, I've got another idea too. I think each of us should bring a replay, a very good game, and look at some of our own games.
Okay.
I don't want to actually have to practice StarCraft, man. Like...
A very good game, as in a very good game that I played, or a very good game but I still lost, and we're going to figure out why.
Either one.
Okay. Okay.
Could be.
Yeah. If you want to, if there's a replay.
If we did ZVZs.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get a replay of me 6 pulling on ladder.
we should do some sort of theme, like a strategy we don't normally do, or like I don't know, something like that.
I think you two should do mech, and I'll do mech, and we'll see how it goes.
Everyone should mech?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Everyone should mech.
Oh,
can I do Zerg mech? Infestor, Broodlord, Corruptor.
So just what every Zerg player does anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, let's... Do you want to just go... We'll just go with the first idea of to just have a game, and then maybe we'll look at a focused one next time.
Okay.
And just for future reference as well, obviously with the plethora of Zerg players that we have here in Australia, I'm sure I could dig up something from one of the fantastic players that we have here. Speaking of which, I would really, really hope that in 45 minutes, or roughly, because IEM's been a little bit weird with their timings on things, everyone can tune in to watch IEM, because Australian boy Moonglade is going to be playing. He is in a group that is a little bit messy, but not as messy as the group that Pig was in last night, which was a very unfortunate group. It had a few names that you might know of. One of them's Nestea, one of them's MVP. We also had Feast, and a couple of Violet as well was in Pig's group, and unfortunately for Pig it didn't go as we all here in Australia would have hoped for. But Moonglade, as I said, has got a little bit more of a slightly nicer group. He's got, let me just double check it, he's got Slivko, a Russian Zerg who is pretty good, Elfie, the random drunk guy, Minigun, Bomber, and Grubby. So Moonglade's group, while still a bit of a tough one, is a little bit nicer than what Pig unfortunately had to deal with last night. So that'll be on in around about 45 minutes. Hopefully everyone can tune into that. As we just discussed, next week we're going to do some of our own replays. If you, as always, if you're in the stream, or if you are watching the VOD on YouTube and you have your own replays you want to send in, send them through. We'll take a look. If you have something specific you want us to look at, then that's all good too, because we're we're just having some fun, looking at some replays, some strategies for people to work on, all that sort of stuff. Wigan, final thoughts?
Thanks for having me. It was fun watching Mech, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we need to get some replays where the guy deals with Mech a little bit better. What is his name? Sheth just crushes Mech left and right because he goes for early roach drop styles, big heavy mid game roach drops, and it's very difficult to deal with.
It's good.
Any really good Protoss player generally crushes Mech. by building Protoss units and then using them in an intelligent fashion. So it would have been good to see that too. No, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit excited for next week actually if we each get a replay. I kind of want to play, do something interesting.
Should be good.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Follow me on Twitter, DBWiggin. Yay.
Murder?
Just follow me on that Twitter at MLGOmerta, and make sure to watch MLG Raleigh next weekend. It's gonna be sick, man. I'm excited.
Are you is that near you guys? I totally lost my geography skills right now. That's not near you guys, is it?
What?
As in the event itself is not going to be near you? Are you guys going, or...?
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Working it.
Yeah.
Right, oh, of course. So you'll have to play some Heart of the Swarm thingies. Are they going to have them there this time, or was that only for last one?
I think that was only for the last one.
I think that was only for last one. Hopefully the beta will be out actually very soon.
Yeah, indeed. Make sure you sign on for that. Of course, as I said, I'm going to be watching some Moonglade tonight. I have been streaming a lot of mech recently. As I said, I'm sort of around about gold-ish level. So if you want to see some, some new play, some Terran mech, or at least attempt to, jump onto this stream right here, and you can see me flailing around trying to play it. Yeah, Moonglade a little bit. Shout out to everyone who was at WCS Australia and Oceania last weekend. It was pretty cool, apart from the fact that I missed my flight up on the first night. Yeah, we'll be back here next week. For now, I think we should all jump on a random stream and just say hi and, give some pro tips to someone if they're not, if they're struggling in their stream. Everyone jump onto, hang on, I'll link it. This stream here, it's on Team Liquid in the non-featured section. It is No Micro Win. Hang on. No Micro Win. Everyone jump on that and go say hi, and maybe, I don't know, that could be interesting. We're trying to unearth unknown talent here, people. Yeah, we'll catch you all next week. Good night.